All right. Hello, everyone. I am Stormcrow56K. Going to be your host for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles relay race, beat 'em ups specifically. So, we got a really exciting relay race, two awesome teams. We're going to be going through four of some of the best beat 'em ups: TMNT 2, the arcade game on the NES, TMNT 3 on the NES, TMNT 4, Turtles in Time on the SNES, and Return of the Shredder um, on the Genesis slash Mega Drive. We've got two teams today. Team Saki with West Point Steve, and these are in order of the games we'll be playing. Quad, Serial, and ZG. And on Team Yoshi, we have Skunky, who will actually be doing TMNT 2 and 3. Unfortunately, jwillyverse had to drop out. And darkalexandr and TurboGilman. So once again, very exciting time here, and I'm going to hand it off to our first commentators, Junkyard Dave and Kat. Take it away.
Hey, thanks. So welcome everybody. This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, and I'm joined with Kat.
Hello.
So this game has a really interesting kind of backstory. Probably most people have played it growing up. It was pretty popular. So way back in the Grandpa days, I used to have a record in this one, and it was at 2807. And these two particular runners, West Point Steve and Skunky, the new generation of runners that came along. A long time ago, we thought that 2710 might have been like the perfect run. We didn't think sub 27 was possible, and not only are they both sub 27, Skunky has a 2651, West Point Steve has a 2655, so they're separated by 4 seconds. They literally did the impossible. Like, they literally broke the game. So this should be fairly optimized. But yeah.
Well, you
Oh, am I
like an old boomer, so
yeah. Sorry. No, I don't know. There's some kind of weird technical issue if I'm like echoing for some reason. I don't know. Am I echoing?
I hear you just fine, so I'm not sure.
Maybe try refreshing. That could be a thing. Sometimes Twitch is weird like that. So right off the gate, the best part about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 is there's no Leo from the previous run. He's not in this run. So you can see both of these guys are using Raphael, and there's a reason for that. You know, why?
Yeah, tell us.
Okay, so Raphael is probably glitched in this game. He has a 4 pixel greater range. Nobody knows why. All the other turtles are exactly the same, but Raphael, for some reason, has a 4 pixel greater range than all his other turtle counterparts. So there's a very specific reason both of them are using Raphael. It makes the quick kill that you just saw in Rocksteady basically not pixel perfect. In the good old days, people used whatever turtle that they wanted, but that kill was actually pixel perfect with every other turtle except for Raphael. So Raphael has massively changed at least the first boss fight. Leading into stage 2, there's not really... So a lot of the optimizations that I think Skunky and West Point Steve kind of brought to this game is enemy grouping. And you can literally see, like, basically as enemies pretty much appear on screen, they're being killed. And that's, I think, where the previous kind of like generation of runners didn't quite have that grasp on the game yet. Because now pretty much everything instantly spawns and dies. Like, they've really narrowed down, I think, grouping and made it a science. But leading into, I guess, the second boss, this is one of the other bosses in the entire game that you can completely hit stun. I expect or assume both of them will get it. It's a pretty straightforward kill, actually. It's not that hard. And I think Working Player is right. Maybe one of the developers really like Raphael or something and snuck it in there. But you actually do feel it in the boss fight, so it makes this boss fight also substantially easier. And then on top of that too, a lot of like the enemy groupings, like the way that the foot soldiers jump on the screen, they die really quickly with Raphael. Some kills are just possible with Raphael that aren't possible with other turtles. Just the way that you equip soldiers and stuff like that. So, okay, yeah, both of them seem they're gonna get this one. This is a fairly easy quick kill. And somebody actually pointed out MTI said turtle racing. So if you're astute, this is actually the Japanese version. The Japanese version has several differences over the North American version. So it has less foot soldiers overall. You can see the point in the top left. The scoring is different, but the big difference is two mechanics. You can actually turn around and change your direction, which these guys will utilize all the time. So you actually can't do that in the North American version. The dive kick technically does more damage, but that's because the foot soldiers have less health. And then the dive kick can also be changed around in the air. For some reason, all these mechanics are changed in the North American version. Yeah, it is pretty different. It makes for a faster speedrun. It's very quick. The North American version is honestly a slugfest. Nothing against the North American version, but you're forced into using the special attack, literally. So the fact that you have like a one-hit KO dive kick in this is pretty big, and it's utilized a lot in the run. Anything you feel like saying?
No, I mean, you were very thorough, so I was literally just listening to all the...
Alright. Well, I guess speaking of optimization, the previous runners like Baze and I, when we were trading the record back and forth, there is a mystery on this upcoming boss, Baxter. And sometimes when we got to Baxter, Baxter would stay still. It's one of the remaining mysteries of the Turtle 2 speedrun. And Baxter would stay still. He would stay completely still, sometimes for like 10 seconds. And if there was a way to quick kill him like that, it would be amazing. But it's actually very interesting because both of these runners, like Skunky and West Point Steve, are like really close together. It's very probable you'll see the exact same boss pattern come out of Baxter. And that's because I think we've learned that the game has like a global timer component. And on that note, Skunky is a madman, because he actually rigged up a metronome leading into the next boss to actually set up a very specific kill that was only possible that he would understand the frames from the beginning of the game using a metronome. And, well, they're differing a little bit. Well, look at that, like they die in the exact same spot. Yeah, it actually did come out in, Japan. They didn't have the original Ninja Turtles for some reason, but they had 2 and 3, which makes even less sense, I think. Or maybe they did have the original first one, I'm not sure. So, we enter the snow stage. In the speedrun, this is the first real instance of RNG. There's this group of enemies, and they're literally snowmen, and they actually matter a lot. You can lose upwards to like 7 seconds maybe on a bad group. There's 2 groups of snowmen in this particular stage. You really want them to spawn all on one side, like just happened. So actually, everybody's getting good luck apparently. Look, see? Perfect.
It's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, so I already went over that Stormcrow, but really the only difference in the North American version in comparison to what I explained with the Japanese version was the North American version has more health. All the enemies have more health. There's actually more enemies in the North American version. And there's advertising everywhere for Pizza Hut. And then on top of that too, you can't change direction when you're swinging your special attack, and you can't adjust the height of your special attack, and you can't change your direction for the dive kick either. So the speedrun is basically like special attack for 40 minutes. Yeah, one's on console right now, one's on emulator, so that's the color difference. So a very short piece of trivia, this is Tora coming up. He's actually probably one of the more technical boss fights. It's very easy to drop like the input for Tora. In the Japanese version, they're going to dive kick back and forth and get him stun locked that way. It's really, really easy to accidentally drop a kick if you're doing it the proper way. So what's kind of silly about Tora is he actually turns purple for 1 single frame right when he exits, but you never see that because it just flashes by so quickly. But they're both doing an excellent job here. So chat, I have a question for you. Oop, okay, there we go. Tora broke away. Who is the final boss in Turtles 2? What do you guys think? Some serious buckles. it's Turtles 2, sorry. The nerd guy from Rescue Palooza, Vernon. Yeah, that's the plot twist. Vernon. It's like... You're right, Rata. The friends that we made along the way, how wholesome.
Yeah, the true enemies though.
Yeah. So it turns out it's not Shredder, which nobody guessed anyway. But the real final boss in this particular run is actually Shogun. And he's coming up, not on this stage, a couple stages from now. But you want to talk about Shogun at all? Because he really sucks.
Spoilers though, like, I'm not sure if we should talk about him right now.
He is worth talking about, I think. He is easily the worst boss. This stage in particular, I guess if you want to focus on this stage, like this stage is actually, I think, the easiest stage probably in the entire game. In terms of like the enemy groups that come out, there's relatively easy. Like purple is probably like the easiest foot soldier to deal with. Baxter as a boss is another really easy boss to deal with. You'll see very quickly he's got a very quick and easy stun lock, so there's really not a lot happening in this particular stage that is... It's not a good stage for commentary. That's what I was trying to focus on Shogun for, okay?
Ah, I see it. Well, I didn't get your hint, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
Well, that's okay.
I mean, we don't talk about the cars that like randomly try to run over you. But, like, it's like an easy stage relatively if you remember when they're supposed to run over you, which I never do. So like, that's a huge concern of mine.
Yeah, no, absolutely true. This is like, again, probably the easiest stage in the entire game, and the stun lock right here is also fairly easy. So, which, ironically, leading into the next stage, I wouldn't say is the hardest stage because Shogun is still probably the hardest stage in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, I would probably say it's like a universal opinion between everybody that's ever run this game that this upcoming stage, like the highway section, is probably one of the hardest stages to be at least consistent in. It has some really weird grouping when it comes to enemies. Like these spear guys have a really awkward hitbox if they decide to throw the spear at you. Same with like these knife throwers, it's really easy to recoil backwards. We have roadkill Rodneys right after this. They are little machines that are very easy to lose a bunch of time. And it's not, again, like a hard stage, but it's a very inconsistent one. So when you're first learning this, like you can see on the left side there, one of them got away, although that was a pretty good recovery. But it's a really weird, inconsistent stage because I think when you're first learning this, like a lot of your time lost and a lot of your time saved literally comes from this one stage. And one big thing coming up that actually creates a pretty big discrepancy is the helicopters. And they're not here yet, but the way that the helicopters work, there's like a fast and a slow pattern. It's basically 50-50, so there's RNG there. And depending if the helicopter comes out fast or slow, it depends how you kill it. So. Yeah, Steve is running on emulator right now, which is worth noting because his time was on console, so that's actually pretty good. He's just able to adjust on the fly like that. So, leading into the highway section, I guess there's a bit of lore there. April gets rescued really quickly, as you saw in the previous stage. She helps out the turtles by getting in the van, and then she immediately crashes the van. I think the turtles were actually safer not rescuing April, to be honest. They're like, hey, everybody's right, and then just like immediate crash.
Yeah, how many times did they even rescue her in this?
Oh, probably hundreds at this point. But you literally see it after this highway section. But, so the helicopters... Yes, yeah. Maybe, yeah. April's driving is the final boss. Alright, so you can see the helicopters are a really big pain. Like when you're learning this originally, ideally you want them to die in 4 slashes. There's a backup strat where you can kill them in 6 dive kicks in the Japanese version, but the difference between that is about 3 seconds. So considering there's 4 helicopters, that breaks down to about 12 seconds you lose. So it's really important that you kill them ideally within four slashes there. But we'll see, they like line up on the highway, they're about to get in the van with April, and then just, it's all downhill from here. Look, we have a timer in the corner, 14:14. How long does it take April to craft? 3 seconds! Come on, April, come on! But yeah, that's the end of that stage. But, so actually leading into this next stage as well, this is another weird stage. Like these stages are all interconnected. It's also really hard, I would say, to be consistent on this particular stage. One person I want to shout out is Pika Pika Pikachu, who has the North American version record. And in his record, it's actually amazing because just past to the right, you'll see it coming up. There's like this little section of electricity. And in Pika's record, he got shocked like 6 times there. Not only did Pika destroy the North American record, I don't think there's ever been... See, you'll see, like, they'll carefully avoid these lasers. But not only did Pika destroy the American record, I don't think there's ever been a record where somebody got shocked that many times before. So I absolutely love how in Pika's record he just gets, like, massively electrocuted.
Free and safe for the win.
It was all calculated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, speaking of other people, West Point Steve has a really good drone strat. He basically revised the drones, as we know. You'll see the drones just right up here. Ideally, I think in the Japanese version you can kill them almost, it's either 2 or 3 slashes. So there's 4 groups, or sorry, I should say 4 drones. And killing them all within 2 slashes is a pretty huge time save, otherwise they start flying around being crazy. So let's see if Skunky and West Point Steve can do that, because this is actually a fairly considerate time save in the run. See, beautiful. That's good. Alright, you just slaughtered them all out. Yeah, the drones are actually really tricky because the way that this works is if you're in the middle of a special animation and you end up getting hit by anything, you just recoil and go flying backwards. So it's very, very easy to recoil in that spot because there's sometimes like 2 or 3 lasers just firing off in like a random direction. And the drones lead into these boomerang throwing guys, which might be one of the most awkward enemy placements, at least in the North American version. So we have Grandier here. Grandier is actually a relatively easy boss. Depending how you kill him, you can kill him without him moving away from like that elevator shaft thing. Basically you can slash 4 times to be safe. You can slash 5 times per cycle, and then you jump in the air. It avoids damage, it avoids you getting knocked back, and then it also avoids death. So it's a pretty straightforward kill. Yes, the record is very shocking. I agree with that. Okay, Shogun. Let's talk about Shogun, because this stage coming up is the worst in the entire run, and it's like almost 20 minutes into the run. So the real end boss in this game, for real, is Shogun. These guys have been relatively consistent up until this point. It will end here, possibly end here. So Shogun is the worst boss in all of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 history. He is the worst stage in all of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles history. There's 2 major parts of this stage. There's the Scorpions, and in old record runs, we had Scorpions as fast as 4 seconds and as high as 19 seconds. That's the variation of just the Scorpions alone. And Shogun is probably the worst boss because if he loses his head, you can lose anywhere from, well, basically the run's dead. Like every top 3 time in North America or Japanese version, Shogun doesn't lose his head. But if he loses his head, like you'll probably lose like 10 to 20 seconds or more. So Shogun, how he works is every 4.2 seconds, he is programmed for his head to fall off. And there's 2 exceptions to this. If Shogun is swinging his weapon, or if you are hitting Shogun, this won't happen. And they still use an old quick kill that I figured out a long time ago, and you hide yourself in the corner. You basically slash Shogun twice, and you let him hit you once, because every 2 hits your turtle will recoil backwards, but if you take the first hit, as long as you're doing like a normal attack, you won't recoil. So how it ends up working is they're basically going to align themselves up against the wall. They're going to hit Shogun twice, let him hit the turtle once, and then they'll repeat that cycle. They'll get knocked down and then they'll go back and forth. So this has to be done as tight as possible within that 4.24 second window, otherwise Shogun's head will fly off. And even if you do all that, even if you're absolutely perfect, there's still literally frames where Shogun can just say no. And that was an excellent Scorpion pattern. That was like godlike Scorpions, actually. So Skunky, yeah, that was pretty excellent. Very lucky Scorpion pattern there. That's like honestly like a 1 in 50 thing when they all spawn right side or they all spawn left side. But you can literally see the Scorpions are particularly really annoying, because every move that you do, whether you're jumping or special attacking or anything like that, they literally spam. And not only do they spam, they counter from a distance too. They're one of the few enemies like that. And they're moving pretty quick too. The 2 tigers, they went really well. There's pixel perfect setups for both tigers, or I should say setups for both tigers. One's pixel perfect. We'll see Shogun. So bless RNG, because Shogun is a jerk. Oh no! See, no! Not like this. See?
Like that.
Yeah, it's... So this is where it's really unfortunate. Although the good idea is what Skunky's doing right now. It's kind of like resting in the corner there.
Yeah.
But you literally see the time difference if Shogun doesn't lose his head for West Point Steve. Yeah, the Scorpions are really rough. They're an awful enemy here. So hopefully Steve has better luck here with the Scorpions. Or Scorpions, sorry, Shogun. So, okay.
Not really.
Yeah, Shogun has decided to be a jerk to everybody. So at least they're on equal footing. Alright, that actually went a lot better for Steve, I think.
Yeah.
A little bit quicker there. So Skunky entered at what, 21:14, I think. So they're about 10 seconds behind or so. It's not that bad. So entering the Technodrome has a bunch of, quote, harder spawning enemies, like these white guys that jump around, or again, the yellow throwing boomerang guys, or like the red guys with the gun. The Technodrome is usually, or full of most of them. It's a really weird split too. A lot of the grouping is, I think, a little bit harder with these enemy sets, because they don't move in, like, the purple foot soldiers jump in almost immediately, whereas, you know, like, the white foot soldiers, like, jump in pretty randomly. Same with the yellow guys, same with the red guys, like. But basically the point is you have to move a lot more as the turtle, I think, to deal with grouping, whereas the enemies of the other foot soldiers, the other kinds, they kind of do it for you. So there's a lot of movement, I think, in this stage that's a little bit prioritized. At the end of this stage, there's 2 groups of roadkill Ronnies that can waste a lot of time. They're pretty jerkish as well. They're right at the very end. It's really horrible when you're learning the speedrun and you don't know how to manipulate them, because you can kill all 3 at the same time, but you literally see. Actually, he's doing pretty good here. It's pretty risky to jump. I like how Skunky's doing that, but it's pretty risky to jump with the red guys. They're very, very easy to shoot you. They actually have like probably one of the fastest reactions in the entire game. The Skunky's doing pretty good, and Steve's like 1 enemy spawn right behind. So, in terms of runners and stuff like that, I don't know if Skunky will do it. If you hang out in the bottom right corner, he is. This strat comes from a runner named Hyphy, and it was one of the simple things that people overlooked everywhere. And if you just hang out in that bottom right corner, nothing happens. You're safe. So for years when people ran this, they jumped around like idiots trying to avoid those balls. But little did we know, all you had to stay in the bottom right corner. So that came from a runner called Hyphy. He very lazily figured out that you could just rest there and be safe. Oh, really? That's funny. Everybody used to like avoid and jump on the top left corner, the top right corner. So if you grab the pizza at the end of that elevator section, there's a pizza. Technically there's a strat that nobody goes for, and I wouldn't expect anybody to do it right now. But if you grab the pizza and you're at absolutely full health, you can't even take like a single tick of damage from anything, you can use the pizza and full health on the upcoming boss, which is Trag, and you can 3-cycle him. So you can literally attack him every 3 shots and then take a hit and go back and forth like that, and not die. So the really frustrating part about Trag is in the history of like the Turtles 2 run, I literally invented like 4 or 5 quick kills for this guy. And it turns out the fastest way to deal with him is to sit in the corner like that and just spam. There's no faster strat than to just be in the corner and spam and then take the death. And it's lame. Like, I really hope one day somebody figures out something for this guy, but that's the fastest way that you can deal with him. So either taking the death and spamming, or as Skunky was doing, jumping and avoiding some of the hits. Both equal out almost about the same time, but you want to avoid the death animation either way, so that's why some of them are jumping. In terms of obvious things that people didn't realize, Krang has this flexing animation. Skunky just did it on his side. You'll probably see West Point Steve, a runner named Frank FC for the Japanese. He's a Japanese runner, sorry, that runs the American version. He figured out that Krang can get cancelled out of this flexing animation, which saves like 2 seconds. We had no idea that that was a thing. And Krang in general is one of the worst bosses in the entire game. He's completely random. Basically you're at a mercy when it comes to his kicks, so it's possible to 1-cycle Krang. It's very rare though, but yeah. Alright, so last part, there's a lot to talk about this game apparently. Coming up is Skunky, or Skunky, Shredder. The villain is Shredder, not Skunky.
Are we sure?
Yeah. So the real Shredder moves slower, the fake Shredder moves faster. And how this works is if the real Shredder is on one of the walls, the fake Shredder will infinitely loop over and over and over again. So it's a very easy quick kill. It completely gets rid of the fake Shredder side. You don't have to worry about him walking around or hitting you. The setup for it is partially random. There's basically a 25 to 50% chance, depending on what you think is a good pattern, that you won't have to wait. The other 50% is kind of what's happening on the right side. You'll literally see, like you have to wait, or you have to dodge sword attacks or something like that. So it's something awful, like 60-some dive kicks, like 70-some dive kicks, and at some point Shredder's helmet will fly off. From there it's 7 dive kicks, and then Shredder's dead. So once the helmet flies off, the fake Shredder will start moving again. Up until that point, the fake Shredder won't start moving at all. So definitely a pretty close race. The fact that it's a low 27 is insane. 27, I would have been about 27-18 or something like that. Very close race. This is a very RNG heavy game to some extent, between the Snowmen and the Scorpions. The fact that it finished about 15-20 seconds apart from each other. Yeah, that's
insane.
Really, yeah, very good. But we will pass it off to Rodas and Hawkeye, and I think they're going to take you through Turtles 3. So, oh man, how to breathe. Alright, but GG guys.
Quick note here, we got a 60-second cooldown between each leg of the race. So once again, Rodos 13 and Cy Hawkeye coming in for commentary on TMNT 3.
Alright, sounds good. So good luck to everybody else.
just wait for the cooldown and then
Skunky's gone.
what is he actually playing? Oh.
Are we live?
You are live.
Okay, so this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. The main difference between this and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 and some of the other games is every time you use your special, you lose a health. I know in Turtles 4, you'll only lose health if you actually hit someone with it, but every time you use a special in this one, you lose 1 HP. Oh,
Yeah, there.
okay. So most of this game is going to be played with 1 HP. So every time you miss a button input or you just have a little hiccup, it will result in a death. Now we will be death abuses in this game, so we can switch characters, because even though Raph is going to be the main turtle throughout the game, he is also the weakest turtle, so as they go into certain areas and certain bosses, we will be seeing them die on purpose to switch to a turtle or to mitigate lag frames in the next stage.
Yeah, Saki filled in for Willie at the not very last, like a few days ago.
Willie had an issue pop up last night, I think, that prevented him from taking part in this.
Yeah, a lot of the enemies in this game, they're gonna spawn either like left, or right, left, right in that pattern, but there's a few enemies that do break that pattern. And right around this bridge, we're actually starting to see that.
Nope, Skunky took accidental death. Skunky is coming up to the first boss in the game, Rocksteady. So he'll just be bouncing back and forth. I think it takes 10 hits, or 8 or 10 hits.
10 with Raph.
10 with Raph. So one thing that we didn't go over at the beginning is all the turtles have the same damage output, I believe. So each normal attack does 3 damage, a jump kick does 2 damage, a toss, like a down and B, will do 3 damage. Raph's special does 7 damage, Leo's special does 8 damage, Don's special does 9 damage, and Mike does 11 damage.
Yeah, the big reason you use Raph for a lot of the game is because of its movement. You'll be able to see him flying across the screen.
And there will be a few bosses where you'll see Leo and Don used for the most part, and those two have the only special that can be used at the edge of the screen. So Raph and Mike, you can only go left and right for, so if you're at the edge of the screen, you can't use it to hit enemies off screen, where you can with Don and Leo. So right now, Skunky just took a death. He's going to stay dead for as long as he possibly can to avoid lag in this section, so none of the balls are trying to hit him actively. So after this little section right here, he'll pop back up and he'll continue on. And we have 2 helicopters coming up. The helicopters have 8 HP each, so 1 hit from Leo's special will kill both helicopters. So they're going to try to line up the helicopters and to take them out both at the same time. Skunky missed the first one, but was able to recover quickly. So now they're going onto the ship, and the ship has some hidden guns that will appear out of the ground if you are close to them or on the same plane. So usually you will leave those and not fight them. And on the next screen, Skunky will progress and he'll jump back and he'll try to take out the 2 little turret guns. So if he times it up perfectly, he'll be in his special animation and he won't get hit by the bullet.
But something that you will see that sometimes they use the throws on the foot soldiers and the Mousers, and that's because other than doing 3 damage, they're specifically coded to do a one-shot kill with a throw. But sometimes you'll see it miss with a fake throw, and they'll have to do another throw right afterwards. Something that I actually found out recently from reading the notes. I was having trouble with that on our runs before.
Alright, now Skunky has 2 more waves of enemies. So I think after these blue guys, I think we come to our second boss, Ground Chuck. Now, Skunky is going to try to position Ground Chuck in a specific area, so when he runs across the screen, Ground Chuck will just run at the side of the screen, giving Skunky several free hits to get him. So Skunky, I think that was almost optimal. I think you can kill him before he rips the pipe out, and it seems Amquat didn't quite get him either.
Pretty good.
All right, now this is stage 3. Now, I don't think we will see any turtle switches in this stage, so I think everyone will be staying as Leo until the next stage.
There's going to be a mechanic that's very important in this stage that applies to all the bosses in this game, I believe, is where if you're slightly above or below them on the plane, they can't hit you, but you can still hit them. You'll see at the very last boss in this stage, we're going to abuse that mechanic, or they will abuse that mechanic.
One thing to point out, this is a single player race, but Amquat recently found a new strat for multiplayer, where if you have a second character and you game over at the very beginning, the turtle's sprite stays on the screen, and you can 2 to 3 shot each of the bosses, getting instant kills on them, and it's only viable in 2-player mode. But that was just something that was found within the last month or 2, which was really neat in and of itself.
I will say this is probably the hardest Turtles game that I've played.
Oh, definitely. This is my favorite growing up as a kid with me and my cousin. I never beat it until I started learning the speedrun strats and stuff, just because of how hard it was.
Yeah, the 3 that I mostly played were Hyperzone Heist, Turtles in Time, and then this one. And yeah, that's for me, this one is definitely one of the most difficult ones.
Oh, Skunky got out of the slash manip. So you can manip slash where he will stay on a specific plane and not just allows you to get a quick kill. So Amquat got it.
Got it. Nice.
So yeah, Amquat actually picked up quite a bit of time right there. So Amquat is currently the world record holder in both Japanese and North American versions of the game. And I think Skunky is going to be putting some time into this game and trying to take the world records in the NES trilogy.
So are they playing the Japanese version right now?
I believe they are playing a Japanese version. The difference between the North American and the Japanese version is on the North American version, you have to roll your thumbs to get the special. So like Turtles 2, it's easier. The Japanese version is easier for beginners to get into because you have an item or an option menu where you can select difficulty, you can set your number of lives and various other stuff, which is available.
Right here, we're gonna see the use of the plane thing that I was talking about, where you could be a plane or 2 above or below, and you can hit them, but they can't hit you. So if you're on a specific spot on this truck, you'll be able to stand there as Leo and just do your special and take out. This is Speed Bop, right?
Yes. And Amquat just took the lead, but the menu is available in the North American version as well, but it's activated through a cheat code, so it's not allowed in the speedrun. So you can see that Amquat and Skunky both have 7 to 8 lives. Where's Skunky taking an accidental death? So you start the run with 7 lives in the Japanese version, and in North American you start with 4, I believe, 3 or 4.
I think it's technically 4, right?
Yeah, because I think you start with 3 and 0.
Is it 3? Oh, okay.
Yeah. This coming up, there's a potential soft lock. They're going to be dying here on the next enemy transition or two. So they're going to switch up back to Wrath. And if you die and respawn as the sewer lid is being thrown and unscreened, you will get a soft lock. So they're going to get ran over by the bullets. And if you respawn too quickly during this scene, you will soft lock.
Yes, this is TMNT 3 on the Nintendo Manhattan Project. Yeah, if you're interested in playing this game and having an easier time, you could either use the cheat code in the US version, or you could just play the Japanese version where the bosses are actually less aggressive as well.
Yeah, and the Japanese version has less lag frames, which I think Amquat said that he timed out between the two versions, and the Japanese version is 8 seconds faster just due to lag. Mm-hmm. Or you can get good.
Yeah, that's it. It took me quite a while to get good, like almost a year, over a year.
Oop. Oh, okay. Skunky didn't have, he still had health left. I thought he accidentally died again. So yeah, this section is completely random, depending on, the foot soldiers will come down either the left or right. So I don't think there's a set pattern on, which side the foot soldiers and stuff will come out of, this is why Wrath is the best turtle in the game, is because he can cover a lot of ground very quickly. Jump kicks are the fastest form of normal movement outside of the specials, but there's an odd thing in a game where your kick doesn't take priority over a punch, an enemy's punch.
Will punch you out of the air. It's a very annoying thing to do because in a lot of games people like want to jump kick somebody, and you would think you'll take precedence over a simple punch, but yeah, it actually hurts my soul every time I get punched out of the air from a jump kick.
So yeah, if you see them trying to when they do the jump kick, they're not usually directing it at an enemy. They're usually doing it to get closer to an enemy, just because of the random fact that since we're at like 1 HP most of the time, you can die. So you can see Amquat doing the jump kick just to get away from the edge, since Wrath can't use his special on the edge.
Yeah, the throw that we just saw from the guy that popped out of the sewer is actually very difficult because I think it's within the first 3 frames that you have to hit him. Because if you do it on the 4th or 5th frame, the sewer then will still hit you, I believe.
And now down here, Amquat is going to take an intentional death as Dirtbag. The stage's boss comes in, so he's gonna stay. He should get down on the rails after this next train sequence, and he's gonna let Dirtbag run him over, and he's gonna switch to Don, and Don can pin him in the corner and just continuously use a special on him. Skunky doesn't usually do that technique. Skunky will take Dirtbag and take him back and forth throughout the screen. I think both are the same speed. Dirtbag got away from Amquat, so yeah.
Surprise, surprise!
Well, no, Skunky, Amquat usually gets him stuck in a corner and just kills him there. Skunky walks him back and forth, which Amquat just...
Wait, switch to Don?
Yeah.
Oh, he does usually switch to Don?
He just started working it in. Okay. So this is something new for him. Now, this is the sewer stage. This one will have a mini-boss in it halfway through, and after the mini-boss, we'll stick with Don if everything works right until the mini-boss. And after the mini-boss, I believe we go back to Wrath, depending on what they do. So sometimes after the Mother Mouser, they'll die and they'll switch over to Leo. And then right before Leatherhead, they'll die again and switch to Wrath, or sometimes they'll just stick with Wrath right after Mother Mouser. So we'll see how they choose to go.
I will say this is actually amazing to me. This is one of the toughest parts of the sewers, just because I get hit by them jumping out of the water.
And I believe this is the only section that we'll see where they will jump out of the water and stuff. So this section, you have a bunch of, I don't know what the fly creatures are called, but Amquat or Skunky will get them in a little lock where they'll go over they'll just continuously go back and forth over the hole, and they'll kill them as they come out. And I believe there's 8 waves of these little fly things before you can move forward. Not sure what they're actually called.
No, he actually hurts less than this one. Turtles in Time Raph for this game, he does the least amount of damage for a special.
Yes, that is correct.
So Raph special does 7 damage, Leo does 8, Don does 9, and then Mike does 11. Yeah, so Raph is used for his movement across the screen, so that's the biggest plus he has.
And then Mike, we only see Mike once throughout the run, and that's that Super Shredder at the very end, because he does the most damage, and you can actually get 2 hits off a special on Shredder if you time everything up right.
2 hits and you do the most damage, so it's not bad. Once we get this Super Shredder.
Alright, now Amquat just got to our first of the Mouser bosses, Mother Mouser. So, easy fight. If you stay above Mother Mouser won't usually hit you, and you can kill the baby Mousers as they come out. So sometime soon, I would expect to see them die off.
Switch to Raph.
Yeah, switch to Raph.
Leatherhead fight, yeah.
Unless there's a new tech that has been found since we ran this last year. Interesting.
Konami Ultra vibes.
Because I know right after this room... Oh, it's going to get another accidental death. He's got his health back. I didn't actually see that. But yeah, after this room, there will be a pizza outside, so the Leatherhead fight will start with full HP if they decide not to switch turtles.
Yeah, I'm glad you went in there with
Okay, so new Leatherhead strapped.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I've never actually seen a fight like this.
We've been out of it for too long, man.
No, I watch Skunky all the time. And I watch Amquat get the, grind out the game too.
Oh, yeah, they're both on top still.
I know. Interesting.
Yeah, Leatherhead's fight is one of my most annoying ones because of his iframes.
Yes, and he can, you can fall into the water during this section as well. Alright, Amquat just switched back over to Raph.
Yeah, you see Amquat there jump kicking out of the corner so that he could actually do the special again.
Alright, so maybe they die.
Amquat is fighting tech every day, yeah. Dedication to the game, though, right?
Oh no, I love this game. I need to put more time into it. Now that I got my regular Nintendo. I'm waiting for Skunky to make me my controllers. Hashtag called out. Alright, now this is the Technodrome. So, this will be the first time that we're here, because I think we come back later for the final fights. But these little pod guys will break off into 2 things. You want to try to keep these guys grouped together, and they have a set timer before they break apart, and if you get them separated, you can actually hit them closer together, so you can kill them with your special and then get into the other one. So depending on where your character is at, I think determines where they fall. So Amquat made quick work of them, and so did Skunky. So during this section, you'll have 3 foot soldiers jump out of the little vents in the ground.
On Amquat's screen on the right, he might go for pizza. pizza by standing at a specific location. Yep.
Yeah.
So you can speed up without getting hit.
And you can just walk through everyone. Now, after this section, there's going to be a little flyer guy coming out of one of the TVs, and these little guys will split off into 4 and fly around. If you do it at the proper time, you can kill all 4 at once.
Nice.
So this is one of the most annoying parts in the run, because if you miss it, those guys are really hard to hit.
Yeah, Rodas and I doing it co-op. Still miss it.
And is this the one? Yes. I think coming up, there's going to be a conveyor belt sequence. Each player will take an intentional death there to switch over to Leo after the 3rd wave of enemies, and then they'll stay dead for the conveyor belt ride.
Oh, that's actually one that I don't remember at all.
Because I think this is the one with the conveyor belt.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So yeah. I think Skunky is going to have to take a game over at some point. I don't think he has enough lives to tank the rest of the bosses.
You mean this specific stream?
Last Pizza Time was uploaded to YouTube.
Yeah, it was.
So I'm not exactly sure how long it'll take, but the VOD should be on YouTube. Now, during this section, on Omquat's screen, the conveyor belt, there are 3 lasers. One's low, one's medium, one's high. I think you only have to jump over the low one. Yeah. The low one.
The medium high ones, you can actually just stand there.
So we just saw Omquat take his death after the 3rd wave. So he's just going to sit there for the remainder of the conveyor belt ride to reduce the lag and not take damage when you didn't want to, or when you're not supposed to. So using specials on this is relatively nerve-wracking, because depending on where you come out of your special, you could die before you mean to.
So now we're fighting
Razor.
Okay.
So this Razor fight, if everything works, he should stay right on the left side, and he should be dead before anything else.
The weird thing to me is that Razor here has an ice attack, but I thought Tokyo was the one with the ice attack. But that's me using Turtles in Time mentality. So did it change at some point? It's Raza. Okay.
Raza.
So yeah, that's what I was thinking this whole time, because I was like, is that actually Raza?
Now, in this Shredder fight, you'll see. I'm quite took an unexpected death. Leo will move slightly up or slightly down to stay in a different plane than Shredder, and if it works well, you can walk Shredder down or up, and you'll never get hit.
Razar. I actually don't know the proper pronunciation, because like I thought it was Razar, and then
I don't think that's what they called him in the movies.
I have no idea. I never watched the movie, or I watched the movie as a kid, but I haven't watched the recent one.
All right, looks like Skunky has got the perfect lineup, so he's walking Shredder. So Skunky should pick up quite a bit of time on this fight, because Omquat had
I will say April's looking pretty hot before the end of the game.
Oh, Skunky took a hit, like a few hits, I think. Yeah, so two specials away from clearing it.
Okay, there you go. It's pronounced Razar. It's pronounced differently depending on character. Jeez.
Now this is part of the this stage is called the Vertigo Point Tower, and right now we're in a little elevator sequence going up. So like the last stage where it had the little group of enemies coming out of a TV, there's also a little bomb that has mousers in it. And if you special as the bomb blows up, you can kill all the mousers. Oh, got flattened. So at the end of this section, they will be dying after the last wave, and as it's transitioning over to the actual rooftop section, and they'll be switching back to Wrath for that section. So it looked like Skunky.
It's only back in New York.
Skunky took an unintentional death. But it was very great of Skunky to actually like fill in, because he was not originally supposed to be running this game.
So Aquat's already switched to Raph already at this point.
And you just saw Skunky jump off and die again. Skunky is once he completes this section, Skunky's not going to take an intentional death here. He's going to die on the rooftop right at the very beginning, and he's going to take a game over and come back with the 7 lives that he starts with. So since he's had a few little hiccups here and there, he's going to do the checkpoint at the top of the rooftop. Now, this rooftop section has laser guys that will be running back and forth.
Like, I think 3 sets of guys with lasers.
So, and Amquat didn't even let him get on the screen before he killed him.
Also, with Skunky taking she isn't as much of a time loss as just playing the game really well and predicting where the enemies will be coming out. So if you do see them taking a continue, it's not as bad as other games would have. It'd be probably like a 3-second time loss.
I think each death cost about 3 seconds, but the game over screen. So, but Skunky is still in this. So don't count him out yet, because one little hiccup can cause a world of hurt.
Yeah. My entire childhood growing up was based on Turtle Time, so seeing Razar and Toka separated for their boss fights is actually really strange to me.
Now, where Amquat is at, this little helicopter thing, he's going to go through different waves where it just spits out random foot soldiers, and I believe he has to go through 3 different helicopter things of them before moving forward. Now, this is the only area in the game where I think you could get damaged by the environment, that you're not falling into a sewer or water. So the little foot soldier display in the background, you can actually electrocute yourself if you walk into it, or if Toka knocks you into it.
Yeah, it is my worst enemy. Feet.
Oh,
baby.
Skunky got punched as he came out of his special, so he didn't use it at the proper position. So that's one of the brutal things about this game, is you're always running at 1 HP. So if you just use something at the wrong X Y position, it just, there's so many things that can go wrong during the speed run.
My question is this just like the turtles fighting a bunch of foot fetishes? I don't know. Is this what it is? Show feet? But earlier we saw Amquat run to the sign and switch to Don. Was that on purpose?
Yeah, Don is used to fight Toka, just because depending on where his position's at, you can pin him in the corner, and since Raph can't lock him into a corner, so usually you die and you'll switch over.
Earlier you were talking about going back to the Technodrome. The last 2 stages are actually switching.
Yeah, that was my bad.
So it's split into 3 different levels, I believe. The very third one is the last fight of the game. So I guess two transitions, I guess.
And Skunky is making short work. So yeah, Skunky decided to stay as Raph. But Amquat will be switching back to Raph relatively shortly as well. So by the time we get to the Father Mouser, they should be back on Raph, unless there's new tech. So I believe those little flyer helicopter guys have 8 HP as well. So since Skunky is on Raph, I don't think he can one-shot those guys. I think he has to hit them twice.
Right. 1 HP to little to one-shot though.
Each boss has different damage outputs, and I think each one of your health bars is 8 damage worth. So some bosses will hit you for like 16 points of damage. That's why you'll see like more health being lost.
Yeah, so you get 16 bars. Each bar is 8 HP. So 128 HP total.
And since we usually play the game at 1 HP, usually it doesn't matter how much damage each boss hits you for. But once we get to Shredder, if they get hit when he switched to Mike, you'll see quite a bit of HP chunk away. Alright, so there you go. Skunky got his hits in, killed the boss. Now we got the...
Crank fight coming in?
No, this is Mother Mouse.
Oh,
Father Mouse.
Father Mouse is. Sorry, sorry. So the crank fight is the next one.
Yes.
Pretty much the same thing as the Mother Mouse.
Yeah, so stay just a little bit above it, and you can make short work. Because you don't want to, if you do it too close to the right side, you will special into the electric field, and you will die. Oh, so I guess that wasn't the only, the foot thing wasn't the only thing. So the lasers can get you. So I think you will see Amquat stay as Wrath for pretty much this entire section until he gets to the end, and he'll intentionally walk into the electric field at the end, and then he'll switch over to Leo for the crank fight.
And there is a slight myth that you have with the crank fight.
So Amquat will get on the left side, and he'll walk Krang to the right into the electric field, and he'll just sit there and do the special until Krang's body deattaches. And then he'll move a little bit over to the left, and he should be able to hit both of them, both parts at once, to make them reattach faster. So these little balls that come out take one hit to destroy, but if they get up and they start moving around, they are a pain to track. They're very fast-moving enemies. And I don't think Raph's special can hit them once they start moving around. So I think they're a little bit above the collision box.
I can still hit them if they move a little bit, yeah. Like if they start the jump, I can actually still hit them. But they do have some iframes when they first pop out. I think this is one of the parts that actually gets to me is when you see those three guys pop on roll. I never expected, even though I know what happens.
And the enemies with guns, if you walk towards them, they will walk away from you. And if you jump towards them, they will jump. So the little robots that you just saw Amquat take care of, those guys will run away from you.
I was just standing at the bottom of the screen with the rolling guys, and I was just talking about, I did not know you could do that. Holy smokes, new strats. Maybe old strats that I've just never seen before.
Both runners doing a very good job at clearing out the little ball enemies. Skunky's making quick work of them as well.
Yeah, actually, what are those balls called?
Once I actually start learning the speedrun, I'm gonna make a cheat sheet with all the enemy names and stuff so I can educate myself. Because watching West Point Gaming Steve do the Rescue Palooza, I only knew about a quarter of the enemies and stuff from actually like watching the cartoons and the movies and stuff, and some of the other ones I had no idea even existed.
Yeah, I didn't even expect things to go bananas.
Alright, and I think this is the Amquat is at the very end of the stage, so he's going to be walking over after this section and getting ready to die.
Here we go.
So now he's going to switch to Leo, and he's going to run to the left, and he's going to walk Krang over into the electric field.
This makes the crank fight so much easier to get through.
And if you stand here, the missiles will not hit you, and he'll just continuously fire, and so you just get free shots on him. So now he's rejoining, and he's going to walk them back over again, and that's Krang. So as we go into Shredder, you'll see Amquat survive as long as he can, I think, usually. And then he'll switch over to Mike. And then Mike will make short work of Shredder.
So like I said, Mike does 11 damage with his special. You have a chance of hitting Shredder twice with one special. So 22 damage in one hit, not bad. Just keep an eye on the hitbox with Shredder.
And the Shredder has, I think, 384 HP, so somewhere around there. So I think Shredder, he's going to take a lot of hits, as you would expect from the final boss.
Alright, there you go.
It's not as exciting as Turtles 2, where you see his head pop off and you can count down. You count down on the number of hits.
Well, Shredder starts glowing at 56 or 58 HP left. So you have somewhat of protection for that.
Alright, Skunky wasn't able to fully walk him back, but he recovered nicely as well. But it looks like Skunky got trolled a little bit with the moveset, and Amquat made short work of Shredder.
GG Amquat.
Very nice. I'm not... I think Skunky should be done in less than 60 seconds, but some commentators for Turtles 4 will be in here shortly. I forget who's actually commentating that.
Actually, I don't know. I didn't see any commentators.
Yeah, we got Hockey Towner coming in for TMNT 4, guys.
So
now we got Skunky going to the Shredder fight at the end here?
Yep, and Skunky died during the Krang fight, so he can't die instantly and bring Mike in. So depending on how the fight goes, Skunky may not switch over to Mike. He may try to just do the entire fight as Leo.
And we got a 60-second
I'll
cooldown
stick
between
around
the games.
until whoever... Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
Hockey Towner, you here?
Yeah, we're playing
here.
with
What's going on, everybody?
Commentators then, so we're just gonna pop off here. Thanks for having us, and good luck.
Enjoy the rest of the marathon, guys.
All right, thank you so much, Stormcrow and Rhodas. Great commentary on TMNT 3, the Manhattan Project. But now we got Serial 4 starting in. Big Apple 3 a.m. choosing Raphael, the glass cannon, and TMNT 4 going in against those foot soldiers, avoiding a giant Krang. Look out for those eye lasers. But Serial off to a really good start. Team Saki in the lead, but darkalexandr firing up now, also choosing Raphael. Just waiting for that cooldown period. We hope you're not cooling down in chat, because we just turned it up to high heat starting TMNT 4, Turtles in time. Very exciting run so far. Serial 4 opening up against Baxter Stockman in fly form with those down chops. Going to lower that HP, get him to the ground, and finish him off. Just like Hoist Gracie, my goodness. Very nice fight from Serial. So Serial building on the lead given to him by Amquat as we head into the third game of this ultra hype relay. Looks like darkalexandr's fired up, so now he's back on the Big Apple. Serial into Alley Cat Blues. So darkalexandr definitely got a little bit of ground to make up. He's going to avoid that wrecking ball, but Serial just taking those robots to task. Just annihilating these foot soldiers with those flying dash specials, standing specials, throwing enemies at the screen. These runners have got it all. They're taking care of business. TCB is the name of the game. Actually, the name of the game is Turtles in Time, but don't quote me on it. So it looks like darkalexandr's getting to the end of the first stage. Serial, though, about to go in against Metalhead. What he lacks in brains, he makes up for in ease of execution. We're going to see Serial absolutely give him a wombo combo. just melt his health bar away. Oh, we got simultaneous boss fights. How about this, Chad? This is absolutely sensational. Dark Alexandr with those down chops on Baxter, and Serial with a really clean Metalhead fight. That was absolutely sensational. Great race so far. So simultaneous level completion. Serial heading into sewer surfing. Dark Alexandr starting Alley Cat Blues. This is a really interesting matchup in this relay. Both these runners have a absolutely storied history of competing against each other. A lot of respect for each other. Serial recently PB'd, but Dark Alexandr holding the edge on the leaderboards over Serial. So we'll see if Dark Alexandr can make up some time for Team Yoshi. So you see now Serial has another turtle. He's got Michelangelo. He's going to be executing that wrong warp in the Technodrome. I imagine that Dark Alexandr will do the same, but with a different character. We'll probably see him use Donatello. And if you really want to know why these runners choose different characters, well, your guess is as good as this commentator's. Serial explained it to me once, and I have no idea what he was talking about. No, I'm just kidding. Apparently with Donatello it is faster but harder to execute. With Michelangelo, maybe a little bit more consistent, at least for Serial, but gives him a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more leniency on executing that wrong warp. Dark Alexandr getting threatened by Metalhead, but just an empty threat as Dark Alexandr absolutely lays waste to this bucket of bolts. This robotic turtle goes down in the first round. Excellent fight from Alex. So now Serial's got to dethrone the Rat King, the king of the sewers. First the sewers, then the rest of the world. But if Serial's got anything to say about it, he's not going to have a chance to conquer the world or the sewers. So Alex starting off sewer surfing as well, little auto-scroller. He's got Donatello as predicted. Wow, it's one thing I got right in this run. Let's go. Chalk it up as a W. So Serial, the first to get into the Technodrome. We'll see if he can execute the wrong warp. It's a tricky trick, if you want to call it that. Yeah, tricky trick. Very good. It can be a little finicky, but we'll see if Serial's got it under control. Speaking under control, Dark Alexandr's got this auto-scroller level under control. He's doing great. About to go in against that Rat King. Gonna avoid the pizza monsters. They say imitation is the highest form of flattery. Well, those pizza monsters are sure flattering to the Aliens franchise. So here we see Serial within the Technodrome looking for that wrong warp execution. Sorry about the lull in the action, chat. We are back up and running. Let's go.
Can you tell us how that
excellent relay so
warp
far?
worked?
Pizza time too. An absolute success. Love being on here. We had excellent commentary from everybody in the first two games.
Hockey Towner. Stormcrow here.
Hey, Stormcrow, what's going on?
Can you tell us how that wrong warp works? I'm curious. Do you know?
I absolutely cannot tell. I'm not a programmer, but somebody can. I bet you can.
Or what they have to do to make it happen?
I actually have no idea.
Okay. All right. Anyone?
I'll tell you who could tell you. He's in chat. Spiriax, exceptional runner of this game, could give a very concise explanation of how the wrong warp works. Not to call him out or anything, but he could definitely do it. So now we got Serial heading in against Tank Shredder. Gonna throw those foot soldiers right at the screen. Dark Alexandr into the Technodrome, making up some time. Looking to execute that wrong warp as well. Excellent execution from Dark Alexandr. Gets it. Looking for the jump kick on the elevator. Gets that too. My goodness. Wow, what an amazing stage from Alex. Also heading in against Tank Shredder. As predicted, Spiriax giving an incredible and, as advertised, concise explanation of the wrong war, bailing out poor the hockey towner, this commentator, bailing him out, getting him out of jail. Absolutely wonderful stuff. Shout outs to Spiriax. Thank you so much with the assist. That is absolutely sensational. So Serial 4 getting sent back in time. Prehistoric turtle sores is the next level for him. But Alex having a terrific tank shredder fight. He's really made up some time. This is really starting to get to be even more hype than usual. My goodness, very, very interesting. So we've seen both players selected Raphael. Raphael is, as advertised, the glass cannon. He has the fastest movement speed as far as walk speed. He does the most damage with his dash specials and standing specials, but he has the lowest amount of HP. So an easy choice for speedrunners of this game to choose Raphael. He is the best character, objectively speaking. So we got both runners on the same stage now. Serial 4 still has the lead. Heading into around the halfway point when we introduce a new enemy in this game. We got these rock soldiers. They're just rocking and rolling at the hands of Raphael's special move. An emotional glass cannon. Yeah, maybe in the first movie for sure. Absolutely, Raphael was trapped in a glass case of emotion, but not for these two runners. They're just executing so well. Really having nice runs so far. Not that I doubted him, but I'm just amazed at darkalexandr making up this time. Serial 4 having a really tidy run himself. About to go in against the bane of casual playthroughs of TMNT 4 everywhere Slash. Absolutely devastating boss to a casual player, but to a speedrunner, absolutely no threat. As we'll see Serial executing against Slash, using those special moves. Look at that, just an infinite combo as Serial 4 finishes off Slash. Very, very nice fight, very fast. You're gonna get to see Alex do the same thing in a moment. So don't touch that dial. This race is really, we're turning the oven all the way up to broil. We're going 500 degrees plus, high heat, high intensity. My goodness, this race has got it all. And Serial 4 is definitely moved forward in time. He's on a boat, and that's pretty exciting as more foot soldiers fall at the hands of his size. The hands of his size, that's such a weird way of saying it, my goodness. Serial 4 still got that lead on darkalexandr for Team Saki. But they're on the same level. It's absolutely sensational. So you can definitely tell Super Nintendo 16-bit hardware compared to 8-bit, but definitely a bit faster paced game. Not that the first two were slow. I thought they were very exceptionally played. Very good race so far. But definitely that 16-bit era, that jump, definitely improving the speed of things. Yeah, shout-outs to Hamato Yoshi. That is the namesake for Team Yoshi. And, of course, Team Saki, named after Oroku Saki. Great references. So now, Serial having to face two bosses, but it's a 2-for-1, buy one, get one free today. He's just got to take out one boss. And like incompetent henchmen do best, they just end up destroying each other. A phenomenal fight from Serial. We'll see if darkalexandr can get that done that quickly. Very nice stuff so far. Very entertaining. I hope you're all enjoying this race at home. Shout outs to Speed Gaming for the restream and all that. It's absolutely wonderful. Love to see Turtles on the big stage. darkalexandr with a very tidy, very fast fight. So you gotta watch out, Serial. Alex is nipping at your heels. definitely making a really nice pace. Yeah, both these runners putting on an absolute clinic for the speed game. Very minor mistakes so far. Those mistakes in this game are so subtle. The optimization is extremely high to get those, clear those foot soldiers off the screen. Just a never-ending flow of foot soldiers, despawning enemies. And just a really nice level from Serial so far. Alex, though, having a really nice run of his own. So coming into the next boss of this level, bury my shell at Wounded Knee, is going to be Leatherhead. We saw Leatherhead in the previous game. He's got a couple more tricks up his sleeve, but the fight isn't too bad for these runners. Serial going to light off some fireworks, some TNT, bringing that dynamite, and going in against Leatherhead. He's going to land 3 specials before Leatherhead's going to just scurry across the screen with some iframes, and then rinse, repeat. No muss, no fuss for Serial. So a really, really nice stage from Serial. darkalexandr, though, still catching up, still despawning those enemies. Now he's going in against Leatherhead.
Neon Knight Riders.
So Serial gets to relax a little bit. He's got Neon Knight Riders. Turn that music up, the hottest track in the game. It's showtime, absolutely. Gets to have another auto-scroller. And Alex has finished off Leatherhead too. Very clean fight. This is sensational. So definitely shout out to SpearX for helping me out. I'm telling you, SpearX, we got to jump on comms one of these days. I think we'd be the absolute dynamic duo in this TMNT 4 speedrun. Can't wait for the day when that happens. And that way you can bail, you can get me out of jail live and on voice. But you see here, since it's an auto-scroller, these esteemed players just have to avoid taking damage. No problem at all. That's right, it is 2020, so this is actually happening right now. And then the turtles are going to fling forward into the future and then go back in time. Absolutely sensational. Have I said that it's sensational? How about tremendous? A tremendous run from both of these players. Unbelievable. So Serial's going to be the first to reach Super Krang. He's coming to wreck your day. But Serial 4 ain't going to let him wreck his day. Not going to worry about a thing. Very fast fight. Should only take Serial about 7 seconds. Gonna hit that 4 specials. Take an intentional death, little death abuse against Super Crane to get even more specials to get the DPS in the billions. Look at that damage. That's a lot of damage as he down chops him, takes the death. 3 little health bars left for Super Crane for Serial. Very well executed. Well done, Serial. And darkalexandr about to start in against Super Krang himself. But Serial going to be the first to reach the gauntlet. Starbase, where no turtle has gone before, where no speed gaming crowd has gone before, or maybe they have. 2100 AD all the way into the future. And this level's got it all. It's got freezing tiles, it's got lasers, it's got a swarm, an absolute endless swarm of enemies just always spawning to wreck your day. But a terrific fight from darkalexandr, very fast. Finishes up Neon Knight Riders. He's going to go back to the future. Cowabunga indeed. Both players entering in the final, penultimate level of the game, if you want to call it that, with 1 life remaining. Gonna hold on to that life for dear life. Serial 4 definitely having a great run. darkalexandr having a phenomenal run as well. Making up huge swaths of time for Team Yoshi. Not that they were that far behind, but catching up in a game that's this fast-paced with this much action happening is absolutely a testament to Alex's skill level. So Serial using those slide attacks, using those dash specials, standing specials, whatever he's got. He's throwing the kitchen sink against these rock soldiers to great effect. And Roth isn't just good with those sides. He can just pick up that sink and blammo, just right over the head. No problem at all. darkalexandr still flying through the level, taking out those foot soldiers. Serial, though, has almost made it to Ship Krang. Ship Krang is a 100% RNG boss. We want Krang to spawn low. I say we like I run this game. Well, if it's not any surprise to this audience, I certainly don't. But Serial 4 and darkalexandr very experienced in TMNT 4. Want Krang to spawn low so you can deal all that damage, get those special moves off. Shredder's just having a hissy fit. He's stuck in that giant screen, and an absolutely incredible fight from Serial. Oh, I spoke too soon. Then he deals the damage, finishing off Ship Krang. Very nice from Serial. He's only got Super Shredder left. Gonna get through that black hole, go all the way back to the present to take on... I think Shredder, in all this time that's passed by, he's been hitting the gym. But now it's darkalexandr gonna take on Ship Krang. Looking for him to spawn low, dealing those special moves, just absolutely rocking Krang's world. Serial 4 gonna use those specials, get those iframes, avoid burning his toes. We don't want to see any burnt toes in this run for either of these runners. And darkalexandr finishes off Ship Krang, but Serial 4 finishing off Super Shredder. GG's to Serial 4, keeping the pace going. A tremendous run from Serial. And let's see darkalexandr finish off Super Shredder. All right, the credits. We don't have time for credits. We got to go to the next game. darkalexandr going to take on the Super Shredder. He's going to land those special moves. He's not going to burn his toes. Commentary curses are null and void in 2020. No problem at all for darkalexandr. Getting that HP down with the corner trap, and he does it. GG's to darkalexandr. An absolutely phenomenal race from both runners. GG's, chat, give them your energy, give them your GG's, and that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for having me on, and good luck to all the rest of the runners for this relay.
All right, looks like I'm going to be on in. Checking out some Return of the Shredder today. This is LRock617. Hope everyone's having an awesome time watching this relay, because I know I am. Looks like we've got Team Saki in a little bit of a lead. There was a very close finish there between darkalexandr and Serial for Turtles in Time. Excellent stuff there. An awesome job to Hockey Man for that commentary. That was really, really awesome. Hope I could do that justice. So today, for Return of the Shredder, we've got a bit of an old versus new story going on here, and this is actually going to be pretty cool. So we've got, on the left for Team Yoshi, we've got TurboGilman, longtime world record holder in this game since like late 2017 when he and I were, I think, the only two active runners of the game. And up until past month or so when ZG, the new blood, decided to, I think he ended up getting all the records all for himself and has just taken over this game in a very short time. And I think this is going to be a very fitting finale for this race. So to go into what's going on with this game in particular, similar to what we saw in Turtles in Time, we're going to be seeing a lot of Raph, maybe a little bit too Raph. Raph is insane in this game because, similar to Turtles in Time, he does the most damage while he's in dash formation, and in this game, dashing is actually quite a bit easier than what you see in Turtles in Time, because dashing only requires one button. All you have to do is just hold a direction, press the C button, and Raph just takes off with his cardio. Couple of things to note. All the attacks, I believe, even for Raph, do the same amount of damage they did in Turtles in Time. What's significant, though, is that enemies actually have gained a health buff in this stage, particularly foot soldiers, who quite a few foot soldiers used to have only 16 hit points, which meant that standing specials and dashing specials would just outright kill some foot soldiers in one hit. In Hyperstone Heist, that's not a thing, because foot soldiers all have a static HP in this game, but they're all 17, so you can't one-shot them with anything except for one specific attack, and that's the flip tackle. Saw a little bit of flip tackle in Turtles in Time, because while it is very good, it's not necessarily needed at all times, whereas in Hyperstone Heist, it's your primary form of attack. Like, you're going to be seeing a whole lot of flip tackle because it does 20 damage, kills foot soldiers in one hit, does really good job of grouping because of the massive hitbox. You can see them both working their ways to the second room here. This game is also slightly different from Turtles in Time in that every stage is composed of multiple rooms, with one major exception. We'll get to that. A lot of them we're going to see are going to be very similar to levels you see in Turtles in Time, with similar music as well. Nice little despawn there from Team Saki, that being ZG. That despawn's really cool. If you kill the 3 guys on the right immediately, the yellow guy who throws the daggers, he won't actually be able to chase you down. Like, he's going to pause and throw a dagger, and he's not going to be able to catch back up to you. That's a flip tackle, not foot tackle. The slide also is a very important move, but the damage on it is not particularly good. It only does 14 damage. But it's essential for movement. When you're going from screen to screen, slide is huge. You really need to be able to make sure you're making maximum usage of it to make sure that you're getting the best speed. Nice clear there from ZG. TurboGilman making his way to the next last segment. Last segment here, we're going to be working our way through some more foot soldiers before we get to our boss. Trying to think of some more important stuff. Special in particular is not quite as useful as it was in Turtles in Time. It still drains your health when you use it. It drains a little bit less if you're at low health, which is interesting. But it recovers a lot slower, and it doesn't kill foot soldiers in one hit, so you're not going to be seeing as much of it. What you're really hoping for is to be able to just do flip tackles from one side of the screen to the next, and hope that there's 2 foot soldiers waiting for you there on a spawn point to ensure that you're going to just actually get through it a lot faster. This is actually one of my favorite music tracks in the game. The tracks that are exclusive to Hyperstone Heist, I think, sound best on this game, and this is the first example we get of that, and it sounds really, really good. Pizza monsters really aren't too much to fuss with. When I play, I actually do just kind of ignore those guys. I'd rather just not take the hit and just keep running to the side, but to each their own. TurboGilman has especially always been like the kind of player who wants to push for score, and I respect that, so props to both of them for just clearing through that. So for our first boss, Leatherhead, this is going to be a very similar fight to what we saw in Turtles in Time, with a couple of differences. For one, you can only hit him 4 times before he travels to the other side, so you have to be really calculated with your hits. And the other thing is, when Leatherhead starts that little crawl animation, he has a hitbox that's active immediately, whereas in Turtles in Time, that doesn't happen until he waits to take off. Like, he'll stop in place and then move, and then he's not actually going to hit you until he's moving. Great fight there from ZG. See how TurboGilman does as well. And for stage 2, for me, this is where the game really begins. Oh, Turbo did not want to get that special there. Only thing he doesn't want to see here is a death at this point, I think. Oof. Commentator's curse. Alright, so for stage 2, start with a quick auto-scroller. Not really too many ways to save or lose time here. The pizzas don't even really do anything. The boxes on the ground with the question marks, all they do is generate points. Now, you do get points. You get extra lives per points. For the first 100, then every 200 after that, so 1, 3, 5, 7, and on. Not sure that damage is intentional, but sure could be forgiven. Clean some house there. Yeah, not too much to talk about here. You don't have access to a large majority of your moveset. You're just going to have to hit enemies as they come in or ignore them, your choice. Check something real fast. Everyone got to check a thing real quick. 1 second. Okay. Sorry about that. For the ship, this stage is pretty peculiar. It's one of the first cases where we're going to have some booby traps, particularly the floorboards that you're used to seeing in Skull and Crossbones. They're pretty annoying. You really have to make sure you can space out your attacks to ensure that you're not going to be landing into those. And if my runs of this game have been any indication, it's definitely much easier said than done. Also have these barrels that are going to come in. A couple different things you can do with these barrels. My preference is to slide through them. Slide has a lot of iframes, so you can usually get away with just doing a slide and just wandering your way through them without having to worry about it too much. ZG tends to take the safer approach as opposed to the faster approach, it seems. Also have our first battle of the Stone Warriors there. Stone Warriors are... trying to think of how to explain it. Very similar to how they are in Turtles in Time. They have a lot of different attack methods that they can utilize to be able to try to take you out, but the real big thing with them is their formation. Like, as soon as the fight starts with Stone Warriors, you have to make sure that you're just, like, directly in there and in the specific spot to where you're going to actually be able to hit them all at once. For example, where you see there, one of the few times you're going to be using actual standing special is to make sure they all get grouped on one side because of the iframes that are associated with it. Work right through the cave. This to me can be one of the more annoying rooms in the game, but I think I'm also partially biased just because the boss fight is certainly one of the most frustrating to have to deal with. Okay. Little Stone Warriors section from ZG here. ZG a little bit ahead at this point. I think it's probably about a 10 to 12 second difference if I had to guess. Actually, no, I was a section behind. It's actually quite a bit more than that. This is probably a good 30 to 40 second difference. So ZG is going to be fighting Rocksteady. Very annoying boss fight. Rocksteady has quite a broken hitbox. Particularly with the kick that he throws at you. What you wait for him to do is you have him go to the other side, and then go in, try a flip tackle, and you want to make sure you land either right above or below him to make sure that you're out of range of his kick. And sometimes that doesn't work as well as you want it to because the hitbox on his kick is just really massive, both vertically and horizontally. They overprogrammed him just a little bit. But great fight there from ZG. We'll move on to stage 3. Stage 3 is interesting. It's the only stage, top to bottom, that's completely unique to this game in terms of both formatting of the stage, as well as, of course, the music. It has a pretty unique setting. It's actually a lot more similar to what you see out of the Ninja Castle, the Shogun stage in TMNT, the arcade game. It's actually pretty cool, I think. Like, I love this setting personally, the House of the Rising Sun style. Have these roadkill Rodneys and take quick work of these flip tackles. Very, very good setup there from ZG. Now, those guys that breathe fire, you really want to make sure that you're going to be killing them as quickly as you can because, well, you can't just wait for them to despawn. It's actually faster to kill them because it gets them off screen faster. Here you can just ignore them because those sword guys should be your top priority anyway. Nice send back there. Little segment's fun. Just being able to use object interactive just to take care of everything that's surrounding you. Mouser's not too bad. That's one of the few times you're going to use slide as an offensive maneuver rather than a movement. Then we'll move on ZG. Good first room from him. Second room. This is honestly one of the hardest rooms in the game, in my opinion. This section is pretty booby trapped for beginner players. The ceiling there with the, I guess you call them the spears, the nails, that actually has a hitbox, so you can't jump there. Even worse, these bamboo shoots that pop up that you also may remember from Turtles arcade game are pretty degenerate, because especially with Raph, who has the least health, he's going to suffer an extreme amount of knockback from taking a hit from those things. As ZG works his way through the remainder of the stage here. For the final bit, this is actually the hardest segment of the room for this runner particularly. You have this segment that's going to have these lasers, and it's very rare that I try to actually get through there without being forced to take a death, just because for a couple things. One, you don't have a lot of moves here that are optimized for damage that can utilize iframes very well. Like, really all you have is like standing special and slide. And the other thing is that you're really punished for doing excessive movement, which is not good for Raph, because Raph likes to, basically just go all over the place because that's what he's good at. Pretty surprised he was able to slip under that one. That was strong. Good stuff there. But yeah, the laser room really shows how things can change up based on how the difficulty is set. On hard, the lasers loop really, really quickly, much faster than they do on easy or normal. Ooh, didn't clear out the last one there. Raph just moving at top speed here. That's going to move him on to our boss. By far the easiest boss of the game. Tatsu's kind of, once you know the strat, Tatsu's kind of a joke. It's also the only part of the game where running special actually becomes a major utility. When you do dash special here with the flying kick, if you start the hitbox of it, as soon as Tatsu lands, it hits him twice. So then you just do it again, hits him 4 times, and he goes to the other side. Very good fight there from Saki. Nice cleanup. Stop from that. One thing you may notice from the first, wow, TurboGilman caught way, way up from that. Good stuff. We're actually going to have a close race here. So anyway, one thing you may have noticed from the first 3 boss fights is that they all have one very similar exact, what's the word I'm looking for, trope to them, I guess, where you hit them 4 times, then they go to the other side, through their form of choosing. The reason that's important is because we're going to be seeing even more than that here. For stage 4, the Gauntlet, which reuses the Let's Kick Shell music from Turtles in Time, we're actually going to be seeing essentially just a full-on boss stage that starts with 3 bosses, whom we've all seen. They're going to have recolored palettes. I believe they also all have increased health, which is kind of annoying. But the boss fights are essentially the same nonetheless. This stage is also known for being very unforgiving because it has no pizza in it. It's the only stage where you actually cannot heal. So they're going to have a pretty tough road ahead of them. First up, we have Purple Leatherhead, here for ZG. What's important to note about not having access to pizza is that for fastest speed, originally with Leatherhead, what you'd have to do is stand in place and just do things like standing special, and you really don't have that luxury here because that's going to spend your health. Nice zigzags there. Very good fight. Move on to Rocksteady, who has been colored orange for some reason. Kind of want to know where he got that purple cap, though. That thing's awesome. Approaching it like the Tatsu fight. I find that intriguing. That's pretty cool. I also like going in there with shoulder like that. Shoulder is one of the safest things you have when it comes to fighting any number of enemies. It doesn't do very much damage. It only does 10. But it has very fast recovery, and it's very, very easy to execute. It's just hold forward C, then A. So there's like no fear of dropping it ever. Really good fight there. I've actually not seen that particular strat on Rocksteady before, so that was really cool. Now on to Tatsu. Since we don't have to use specials on Tatsu, we're just going to be doing the same thing. Just dash special, other side, go again. The real important thing here is to make sure you don't get captured by foot soldiers. If a foot soldier grabs you, that can actually drain a lot of time. It can be very, very easy to have that happen by mistake, like what just happened to ZG there. That was unfortunate. Good finish. That'll move ZG on to the Baxter Fight while TurboGilman cleans up on Tatsu. So Baxter is an interesting fight. It's arguably the hardest in the game, and there are two strats that can work really well for it. The safest strat is the one you see ZG employing here. He's just using hop kicks, which is just about the only thing that can actually hit Baxter. There's not much that can actually make contact with him because he avoids most ground attacks. Hop kick being very, very good because it also hits Mousers as they pop out of his machine. The other strat that I've been known to employ in the past is one where you stay on the ground and you drain your health of specials and you hit the Baxter with them because they do more damage than a hop kick, like way, way more. I think a hop kick does maybe like 7 or 8 damage from a Raph, if that, whereas special does double that. The risk with hop kick is that the risk with special is if you use special and hit a Mouser and don't hit Baxter with a said special, you lose the health for doing the special and you don't get the damage on Baxter. So there's a bit of inherent risk involved there. You see Turbo employing that now, actually. It's also very common to take a death when you're utilizing that strat because you want to be able to get your special back to be able to rank up the damage. Whew, really, really close race here. Final stage is going to be the final Shell Shock, also known as this game's version of Starbase. This room is really long. It's the longest room in the game by a fair amount. It's like a 4 to 5 minute room on average. Lots of enemy groupings, and it's one of the hardest stages to do from a technical standpoint just because since there's so much content, it's really hard to be able to tell what segments are going to have what enemies outside of playing it probably more than the other game you've ever speedrun before, I guess. But yeah, there's a lot to take in here. Nice kill on the Roombas. I prefer slide there, but special was still very, very good. Mousers can be tough to track down, but I prefer slide there. But sometimes they get away and slide's just completely ineffective if that happens. Nice setup there on the Stone Warriors. If I'm not mistaken, I also believe there's a chance that this stage may not have a pizza. I know that in lower difficulties, I believe there's one on the elevator, spoilers, but we're not going to see that here. So from here, it's just kind of wits and gumption. Overall, the stage is a pretty cool combination between what you see in Turtles in Time out of both Let's Kick Shell as well as Starbase. It actually breeds elements of both stages pretty well. Oof, CG taking some hits there. Big hit there, and that's one of the problems with Raph. The big thing is that, Raph has the lowest amount of health, which that's kind of always been whatever to me. The big problem with him for me is the fact that he takes so much knockback from hits is huge. Like, he generally can't take a hit without being knocked 9 feet in the air. Which you just saw there from just taking a hit from something as simple as a sword. Nice laundry chute section here. And yeah, when you're going from screen to screen, generally what you want to be doing is just setting up a flip tackle. And knowing where the enemies are going to spawn for said flip tackle is pretty important. And here we have easily my least favorite segment of the game, the part with the ice race. Saw a bit of those in Turtles Arcade, both the actual arcade version as well as the NES version. Doing this section without taking a hit can be a real struggle. Staying in the bottom right is the safest, but unfortunately the foot soldiers they really know how to misbehave there. ZG had a really good section, and I'm really happy I got to see him be able to perform that patiently like that, and Turbo's done the same in the past. See if we'll get under these boulders. Oh, he's going to despawn these guys too. Oh, no, did not. Okay. Interesting setup. I've not seen that before. I usually just go in and slide and try to avoid the boulders that way. Usually works. But I like that. That was good. Zip around. See what he does here. Moves away. Probably smart. Doing the slide to the right does work, but it can miss. So, fortunate death there for ZG, but he's still got technically 6 lives since Zero is also alive. Last segment of Stone Warriors. Oh, missed the timing on the special. I knew he wanted that there too. I could tell he did. He wouldn't have been standing there if he didn't. Let's see if he gets this one here. Alright, very good. Good setup. And we'll move on. One last segment of enemies before our first boss of the stage. Oof. Rough hit there. That was a very degenerate grab there from that red soldier. So am I the only one that finds it weird that the default foot soldier color in this game is red? Because that's never been a thing in a TMNT game before. There have been red foot soldiers, yes, but it's never been like the default color. It's always been purple. So on to Krang. This fight is very similar to the Super Krang fight, Krang Exoskeleton fight, whatever you want to call it, from Turtles in Time. Big difference is you're not on a hoverboard in this game, so you have full access to your move list. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 6 normal hits, have them go to the side, do the Tatsu strat where we do flying specials, in this case 3 of them, where they each hit twice. Do it 3 times in a row, and that finishes off Krang. I believe we owe all the props to Gale Dog for coming up with that strat many moons ago. TurboGilman didn't catch that quick kill. That might actually cost him. As in, like, cost him the race. It obviously cost him time, but I know he's behind, but that's going to be a big detriment to the race. Because if you don't get the quick kill, Krang does the strat where he spawns off screen and just starts dropping bombs everywhere, and that drains a lot of time because you don't have access to being able to hit him. Yes, Rav definitely has the highest base damage for sure, especially when he's running. Alright, onto our elevator, because it's a Konami game. Pretty fun little elevator. All the enemy groups are stacked up pretty well here, I think. You're going to be utilizing a lot of dashing techniques. Slide is pretty important for a couple of them, particularly the Mousers. I see ZG doing a lot of dash specials. Not used to seeing those, that's for sure. Flip tackles are usually the order of the day, but you really have to make sure you're good about timing enemy exits from the elevator here. The roadkill Rodney segment, what I usually do is wait for one to spawn out from the left and then come in that way. But against Rodney's, it's really not a great idea to use flip tackles because they're not going to be grouped all at once. If they were going to be, then yes, it would be fantastic, but not so much there, since they all come out from separate parts. Mouser floor is pretty simple. Either dash special or slide in both directions. Ooh, Turbo missing a dash there. This is coming down real close. By the time we get to the bottom of the elevator, we're going to be at the Super Shredder fight. So hold on to your butts. We're going to have a heck of a finale here, especially given how super random the Super Shredder fight can be. So this is interesting. This is actually my first time seeing the Japanese version of the game, and I'm not used to seeing foot soldiers just jump out of the elevator, and they're definitely doing that here, so interesting stuff. Turbo only a little bit behind here. This could just come down to the Super Shredder fight. Oh, okay. So there is one more floor. I definitely don't recall seeing this. Okay, so for the Japanese version, there actually is an extra floor of enemies. So this is interesting. I'm not used to seeing, like, these sets of enemies specifically. Like, the fire breathers, like, those aren't in the US version of this game, which is the one I've always played. So that's interesting. Okay, so for the ground guys, this is going to signal the end of the elevator here. The goal is to make sure you kill all 3 waves of foot soldiers by the time you reach the door, and that can be tricky. Alright, ZG finishes first. We got about a 4-second difference. ZG in the lead for Team Saki. This is going to be one heck of a finale, so let's go. Big thing against Shredder, make sure you use Slide to get past whatever he's doing and then just go in there and hit him as hard as you can. Slide is going to be your ultimate tool because of how many iframes it has. Good stuff there from ZG with a start with the dash specials. The tough part is knowing how to time your slide with whatever he's going to do. For example, green recovers way faster than the other 2. Also missed an input there. Unfortunate, ZG still has a pretty commanding lead with him only at 2 health, and that's going to do it. ZG finishes with a time of 1:52.01 for Team Saki. GG to all those players. Turbo's going to finish off here. Got a final time of, I actually didn't time that out, but I wager something like a 1:52, probably a 10 or 11 or so, but still both excellent runs for Return of the Shredder. Great stuff from both teams. Shoutouts to all the players. Follow all those players, by the way. Follow Skunky, follow Omquat, follow Serial, follow darkalexandr, follow West Point Steve, follow ZG, follow TurboGilman. Just follow all those people. They put on a heck of a clinic today, and they all deserve your attention. Whew. So glad I got to see that. Glad you all did too. That relay race was something. Whew. I can only consider myself so lucky for being able to commentate the finale. That was quite amazing. Great stuff from all of our players today. And also, big props to jwillyverse, who unfortunately could not make it for his portion of TMNT 3 Manhattan Project. Great relay for sure. TMNT 2 is definitely on the side of Team Yoshi, but once TMNT3 took over, Team Saki kind of forced the lead and never looked back. They did lose some time over the next couple games, but it was just such a big lead that just kept it, and the players kept strong. And every player on both teams deserves all the props for that. So again, GG to everybody. GG to Pizza Time and to the organizers. Thank you all so much for having me. Hope you all enjoyed that awesome relay, because I know I did. I'm going to go ahead and hop off. This is LRock617, and you all have a great rest of your marathon. We've got the glitchless run of TMNT Ness coming up next between Ness Master and Skunky. So you all take care. Have a great rest of your weekend.